Welcome everyone. Today we'll have a new test run for Infinite Blink Summoners build. So looking behind me, I'm currently using Temporalis on my summoner, and it just happens I was preparing the Temporalis for my actual setup for the Bloodmage I'm planning to transition into, but why not have some fun with a Blink Summoner? So what you're seeing is we have less than 1 second of a blink cooldown, and I am jumping around everywhere. So I have tested this build in multiple setups, and I do believe the current setup I have is the most stable one for sustain in terms of mana regen, with over 20 skeleton warriors as you can see, close to 300 plus mana regen, which makes me really tanky with a lot of mind over matter and manas, and then having extreme mobility using blink. So this is a great map to demonstrate the ability of using Blink as a summoner to jump between ledgers and also between more ledgers. Now, the downside is that the unit will take 1 second of a delay before your units are summoned next to you, but that is not the biggest deal. So Blink Summoner, even though it might sound a little memey, it does provide decent mobility and also in terms of map clear, in terms of particular maps. We'll talk about different map layout and whether the maps might not be great for a Blink Summoner, so you don't get baited into a Blink Summoner. And before you guys ask, yes, the Temporalis will cost quite a bit of divine, and I do have a setup that is not needing a Temporalis. It is very cheap setup to adjust Blink into any of the summoners build, so you should definitely check out the variant in the links below if you do not have Temporalis and don't plan to invest a massive uber unique item just for the summoners. But that said, having Temporalis is going to be great for my next Bloodmage build, which if you haven't seen the previous video, it was pretty amazing. That's why I have bought the Temporalis for that build, and I want to test even further to make the Temporalis Bloodmage even cheaper. So, coming back to our Blink Summoner, what you can see is I'm also running Headhunters, which allows me to steal monster modifiers to gain even more abilities and also casting and also whatever rare modifier there is to have a lot great mobility. As a Blink Summoner, we can travel the map very quickly, and our main focus is actually blinking instead of running. I have tried using 70% movement speed boots versus boots with more spirit reservation, and you guys guessed it, it is better to go with a boots with more spirit reservation because most of the time we're blinking around. So how about the boss fight? You can see here, I don't have the strongest setup for bossing, but we still have no problem. And here this was a tier 16 boss, and it was quite straightforward. So Blink Summoners definitely not that memey as I thought, so it can work, and I'll explain to you guys what are the requirements to make the Blink Summoner work so you don't feel too clunky due to the longer delays of the cooldowns for Blink, and also what are the trade-offs, because you are spending about 60 spirit which you could be spending elsewhere in terms of minions, in terms of more damage with mastered, or just in terms of another skill slot. So before we go further, I do have in the replays to show you guys what are the gears I was using and what are the transitional gears that can be swapped around and what are my current passive tree, and also you can go with a Blink Summoner without Temporalis, but it's more fun to try with Temporalis, right? So if you want to see all the skill links and also everything related to this setup, which is adjusted slightly to the previous setup, you can see on the second part of the replay. Now, before I bait you guys into getting Blink Summoner, I do want to show you guys another test run of demonstrations using the Blink Summoner and also a 70% movement speed boots. So here we have more movement speed, which allows me to be sprinting and also running as a summoner. Now, there is a huge drawback as a Blink Summoner. It is the map layout. Notice for this particular map, I am having trouble to blink across ledgers and also across walls because the map here is more solidified. Also, I forgot to turn my loop filter correctly. So fast forwarding a little bit with the loop filter. So you can see, I have to run around because the design of the map has certain levers and also things that needs to be activated. And because of the doors and also the doorways, this means even though Blink is great, it has its limitness in terms of, getting through to the map. So here, this map has a lot of doors. I can't blink through the doors unless I interact with it. We still do really good damage, and we are still very fast, but you see the limitation of Blink sometimes in certain maps. So I also played this map as a demonstration to show you guys the extreme cases, which Blink Summoner might not be the fastest simply because of the map layout. But that said, we still do pretty good boss damage. So as a demonstration, after finally activating the boss and just running towards the boss, it's pretty fast. So we have no problems in terms of map clear, we have no problems in terms of survivability, as long as you have a little more skeleton warriors, which greatly help with the mana regen, if you haven't seen the previous video. We also have tons of buffs coming from the monsters using the Headhunter. And finally, it really depends on the map layout to get the Blink Summoners working. That said, let's come over to my character. Now, if you look at my character, currently I'm using a setup that is more optimized. And I do want to notice here, I did recently sold my amulet to one of our viewers. So I'm just using a random amulet. My previous life percentage amulet, which is very close to this one, but with the correct warlord effects and also with the stats. I did sell this one in order to fund my future items like the Temporalis, so I could make the next build. So if you look into the builder's guide below, it is not this amulet, of course. This is just a placement holder because I was out of amulet. So that's it. That amulet, so this particular max life amulet, not this one, I don't recommend you buying this one because it had the wrong anointment, it also doesn't have the right base, and the max life, maximal life, those two effects is actually huge. If you're running the build I'm using with a shield that is valved to 20 maximum life per spirit, and with the Ascension passive over here, an amulet like this with the other right stack correctly will give you over 100 spirit. So that's why my amulet was quite popular. And just happens to be one of our viewers actually messaged me noticing that he's like, hey, you're majestic. I'm buying an amulet off you, can I get a discount? And ending up giving him a discount as well. So coming back to the build, a little sidetrack. So what has changed? Firstly, the chest piece. Yes, Temporalis, they definitely do not need Temporalis for a Blink Summoner. So, but let's have a look at what happens if you're planning to run Temporalis as a summoner. Firstly, you probably don't need the fire resist. I didn't change the runes yet because my resistance are pretty overcapped, as you can see over here when I switch into the right gears. So the resistance is not right on the lightning, but really overcapped on the fire. So definitely look into getting the right setup over here. Temporalis with -2 seconds is not even the max roll at the moment. You can go as high as -2.33. I happen to be picking up this one a little cheaper before the price inflation and before our video like this one and this one. So before those videos came out and before, I guess, the community got really into the actual Temporalis builds, the prices were more stable between 100 divines, even for the 2-second rolls. But it has gotten a little cheap, more expensive, which I explain in the next video, and how to go around with the cheaper variant. Now that you have Temporalis, the next thing you want is going to be Blink. Highly recommended to get a level 20 Blink that comes with at least 3 sockets. It doesn't have to be 3 sockets, it can be 4 sockets, but you're not really using the final socket. Now, the Blink itself is level 20 that is valved to Corruption +1 level. It should also be with the 20% quality, which provides you with the cooldown reduction by less than 10%. This won't be the cheapest because the spirit gems for level 20 are about 3 divines. So this particular level 20 Blink is about 4 divines that is correctly valved with 20% quality. On top of that, now, yes, just in case you guys are wondering, not setting this up just for a meme, because if you haven't seen the video, the next video actually uses Blink correctly as a Bloodmage, which I'm working on with all the gears I have been transitioning. So to set up this correctly, the perfect, I guess, cooldown reduction for Blink is going to be cooldown recovery level 2, and then we have rapid casting level 2. Finally, this particular supporting lineage gem, maybe I should switch the units off. Yeah, this particular supporting lineage gem with altered Agri. So it has to be Agri because this one plus 3 skill ranks when you only have 3 total supported gems. So 2 other supports plus this one. Look at the rank to Blink. I take this off, it is rank 25. Put this on, is rank 28. Now, Blink cooldowns, let's have a look. Blink cooldowns is affected by skill rank. Skill ranks such as the wind over here +4 skill rank will affect the Blink cooldown quite much. So I take the one off. Actually, we can't even see here. So let's do this. Maybe it's easier. So let's go to Blink cooldowns, 0.79. Blink cooldowns is affected by the rank of Blink. So +3 level, he actually hits 2 breakpoints. So if I take this gem off, it is 0.23 seconds. If I put this gem on, it goes to 0.79. So the higher the rank the blink is, the lower the cooldowns. And I do believe the increment, the breakpoint, comes every 2 level for blink. So having a +4 1 over here in the future, as you're going to see, will help a lot. But of course, we're running minions, so we're running this way. So the setup is about minus 0.93 seconds. But later, I'm trying to get it to much lower. So this is the ideal setup for blink, and this works for any blink setup, any blink build. Do keep in mind, this gem or this supporter gem has gotten much more expensive, and I was a little behind the party to get this one. So because this is over 20 divines, there is a judgment. If you don't have the capital for this one and you just want to run blink summoner, you can simply go with second wind. Now, I'm not saying second wind is the best choice, because you can just go with 2 sockets. With those 2, that is fine. So this just gives me a slightly higher cooldown to about 1.7 seconds. It is not unbearable, especially when I'm just going through ledgers, and we're still pretty mobile, as you can see over here. But sometimes you might want to double blink. So second wind allows you to double blink. And the downside is you do have a longer cooldown for both blink to come up, which is an option. So all 3 options will be available for you guys to utilize blink into the summoner, and this is while using the Temporalis chess piece. And let's have a look what if we don't have the Temporalis chess piece for a more budget setup. So I'm going to go back to my previous chess piece, which is a very hefty spirit chess piece that takes me over 900 spirit, even with the raw amulet. So if I go with the most cheap setup for the summoners and you don't plan to use the fancy supporting gem or the chess piece, you can go with this setup with double blink. And our cooldowns will be around 4 seconds. So this is why double blink could be good, because double blink for full 4 seconds and you just wait for the cooldowns to go, then you do it again. And it's a little slow for you to come back. Notice it's coming back with 2 blinks. So it takes 8 seconds for 2 blinks to recharge, but that is one option. If you just want a blink every 4 seconds, this is also a possible setup. Now, the cost of blink is going to be 60 spirit. As you guys can see over here, let me see. And let's see, can we get the spirit activated? Can we just turn it off by itself? Let's have a look. The cost of spirit, and how come it's not activating? Let me have a look. Maybe I still have the spirit. Oh, there we go. I'm not sure why it wasn't activating before, but here we go. So look at this. So I have spirit 606. Once I activate this, my spirit goes to 561. So what I want to notice to you guys is the actual cost of the blink spirit reservation is not as high as 60. So it is possible for a normal summoner build to run this one, because you likely have certain items with spirit reservation reduction. And I do believe there are some. Let's see if we can see this one. No, this is just for the minions. But I am getting the spirit reservation reduction, as you can see, right? So 560, I remove blink, it is 606. So the actual cost of the blink is 45 spirit instead of the 60 spirit over here. So what I want to mention is it is possible to keep blink as a summoner. You will require a skill socket and also a slot, but it is possible to run blink. And it is your choice to run this particular format, or this particular format for a more expensive version. And finally, it is optional to go with Temporalis or not. Both of the demonstration videos, as you can see, we are using Temporalis. But during the first demonstration, I'm using Temporalis with those pair of boots, which greatly increase the number of summons I can get while sacrificing movement speed. So the base movement speed with those boots are about 40%. Because of the socketed Jew, we maxed out at 40% movement speed. If you want a little faster, you can take onto those 70% movement speed boots. It takes me to 60% movement speed actually. And you can see in the second replay, this is what I use for the second replay about those boots. But the bigger catch is we're not really running around that much since we have blink. So I'll actually prefer a slow boots with more summons and also more minions for survivability or even higher damage. Now, because the rest of the build is quite similar to the previous setup, I'll leave it to you guys to have a look in the builder's guide below in terms of the variations of the setup. I have been changing the skill passive a little bit, taking away the points over here and not going with the points over here, which takes me over here for, those socketing of additional percentage. I think it's a little bit too wasteful to go for the actual socketing. So we're still running 3 of the Grand Spectrums and 1 over here. We're also running against the darkness for additional spirit and also resistance. And finally, we're running this timeless Jew, which is actually the best piece I've ever crafted. So let me know if you guys have any questions in terms of the Blink Summoner. I'm really focusing on the Blink aspects, and I want to give you guys a bit of feedback. How do I feel about Blink? So when should you want to consider Blink is when you have enough spirit that additional summon units might not be the biggest game changer. Notice I can summon 16 of the Spectres. I can go further. If I had the right amulet, I can go over 1050 spirit. So this is when getting one more summon is not going to change that much to me. So this is why I can consider, you know what, why don't I have a Blink? And the rest of the spirit, I can go for additional minions and also additional units. So once I have hit a certain breakpoint, having more units isn't greatly affecting my damage output or survivability. This is why I would consider having Blink, versus having additional 1 minion. And I think this is the biggest takeaway. And in terms of Blink, you can see how often and also how helpful it is when you have maps with tons of ledges. You'll jump across the ledges, you can jump across different terrains, and this allows you to, have a little bit more variety in terms of summoners. Yes, it will have a little delay to get used to, and you might not be able to sprint as smoothly. So let me show you guys over here. So while blinking, once you blink, it is a little harder to get used to because we like to sprint. But those boots are not designed for sprinting because the movement speed is capped at 40%. So the removal of blink and sprint is actually not bad using those boots. But if you want to sprint a lot, having a speedy boots, so I blink, now I'm sprinting, and here I'm sitting on, let me show you guys the movement speed. So normally I'm sitting on 60, sitting on close to 107% movement speed. But it's a little harder to blink and sprint because you're kind of double dipping on both things, which I don't know, maybe you guys like it. So variety setup will be available for you guys to have a look. But personally, I just like to, those boots are not correct. There you go, 40%. So personally, I like to sit on those boots and just use the blink and blink around. Of course, it is a little slower, guys, to be running this particular chess piece while blinking. And that, of course, is the case. So I think that summarizes everything. Oh yes, if you are running a companion, definitely run those particular boots. Finally, you don't have to run Headhunters. You can take away Headhunter and run the previous heavily spirit reservation in terms of, and there's a 26% reservation, and you can see my frozen Mandibles just keeps going up to the point that having additional 1, so if I take blink away, I can have 1 more. But I think I might go with blink. Maybe we go blink. That's so strange. You have to take all of them to get blink on, and then put them back. Now, finally, if you do plan to run the champion or the aura bot with the Tame Beast, so we have lots of video to talk about this. It is great because you can run royalty, which gives you damage reduction, and this, if you caught them correctly, this will have damage that shocks enemies to give your team 20% more damage. If you're running this one, strongly recommending going with a belt and also the boot setup. But this is quite heavily in terms of spirit cost. I'll show you guys over here. I tested this, but I wasn't a big fan because the haste aura isn't that big deal for me anymore because I'm not getting that much effect of the movement speed, and the additional cost is quite a bit. So which one should I remove? I think I'll remove the Frost Mage. So I'll show you guys over here. Take off the Frost Mage. I would have to reduce a few units. So notice I was on 18 summons. Now I'm down to 13 summons. So I lose 5 summons in exchange for the 20% more damage and also 20% attack speed. 20% increased damage is coming from the shock, because this one have all damage shocks. And the haste aura give us 20% attack speed. So the exchange is about 5 summons, which is quite hefty in terms of my actual setup. And this is why I'm running the belt and also the boots. So most of the cases, we just go with the summon units, we'll put those in. And then it is your choice whether you want to go with the Temporalis chess piece for lower blink cooldown, or you can go with the Headhunters for stealing the monsters modifiers. Finally, it is optional to go with different boots if you still prefer to be blinking and also sprinting. There's a number of variants you can take and pick with those particular items, but I want to show you guys what's possible to go with the Infinite Blink Summoner, potentially making things more interesting to travel across different terrains. So, the video will be available for you guys to have a look, and feel free to have a look at the demonstration of Blink in terms of a nice terrain versus a demonstration of a much more difficult terrain using the speedy boots. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about the summoners? And yes, before we finish, I forgot to mention, I am in the process of selling my items, especially this Jew. Because the new build is quite costly, I want to be testing a number of things with you guys, so I am thinking about selling this particular Jew. So for those of you that is interested, this is a 17465. If you find something like this is a really good seed. I've crafted this one to everything maximum, 3% all attributes, 5% increase in damage, and with the 8% Spirit Keeper with 8%. So what you're seeing on the tree is you can have 8% more Spirit. You have 3 of the 3 Spirit reservations, so 1 here, 1 over here, and then finally 1 over here. This also gives you additional minion attack speed based on the tribute, and you can also gain additional dexterity. You can gain additional mana recouped. I believe there are some other good ones. There's mana cost efficiency. And finally, there's damage recoup as life, which we don't need it as badly. Don't need Remnant. There's also curse activation. Probably don't need that as much. But this is a very sweet Jew. I'm not sure how much I want to sell it for. Oh, you can even get additional cooldown recovery. I should have perked this in. This will probably put my blink even lower cooldowns. So I'm in the process of thinking of selling this one to have the divines for the new build. So for those of you that are interested, I will be putting this on the market probably after this video. So let me know if you guys are interested. I'm not sure how much on the price those though. So we'll talk about this. So please enjoy this testing replay. It is not the longest, but to show you guys what are the variety of a blink summoner that can be potentially good if we have better minion AIs that allows the minions to spawn right up next to us. And in terms of the score rotation, you can see there isn't that much score rotation. We're just blinking around. And you just have to make sure you give like a 0.5 second of a delay so your minions actually summons next to you, and then they kill everything, and then you repeat the process. You can use Pen Offering to dramatically increase the damage of your team, and using the potion gives you additional guard, which is really nice. Now hopefully you guys found today's video helpful. Again, a big thank you to everyone on YouTube, especially our supporters, and also those of you guys who's been supporting me on Patreon as well. And we do have a new feature on the Majestic YouTube channel. If you click onto this, you can become a member. Yes, I've added this just recently, and this will allow you to have early access to videos that is posted a few hours or even half a day earlier if you want to watch those videos a little early. But yes, this will cost money. So please be aware the membership will cost money. And if you do want to watch videos normally, those videos will still be available after 6 to 12 hours, normally on the time we post those videos. And I'll be aiming to post at least one Path of Exile video a day, and this will be including guides, tips, news update, and also the latest tricks that is discovered on both the English and also Chinese community to keep you guys updated. And if you like those videos, make sure you leave a nice comment and also leave a like for those videos.
Too soon. Too soon. Too soon. Death, take you. I need more time. I need more time. I need more time. yet. Too soon! Too soon! I need more time! Too soon. Not yet. I need more time. Another corpse to serve me. Too soon! I need more time. I need more time. Too soon! Let's see what was worth guarding so fiercely. Knock, knock. Too soon.
You there, local, come here.
Obey me. I need more time.
Death, take you.
I need more time. more time. Not yet. Fools!
Too soon!
I see you down there.
Infernal woman, your burning heart shall join my forge. Drown in a river of fortune!
Now before we finish, if you guys haven't subscribed, this is a really good time to do so because I'll be looking into the latest Path of Exile 2 news on different communities and also on our official forum, official webpage. I'll also be looking into the best build for each of the class as the meta develops with the Chinese and also the English community. So stay tuned for the latest update and also guides for Path of Exile 2. And of course, this is gonna be a big month for us. And I'll try to bring you guys all of the latest content and also guides for Path of Exile 2 to come.